Selected 1. Something powerful is unraveling this October. Not a tragedy, but a turning of tides. The universe has entered a season of divine correction, and you are at its center. What once appeared as chaos will soon reveal itself as sacred order. Someone tried to use manipulation to shake your confidence, but instead, it became their mirror. The very trap set to catch you snapped back upon the one who built it. You've just witnessed the rarest event in the cosmos, divine justice unfolding in real time. Their plan to humiliate you has become the stage for their own unmasking. They are now losing sleep, repeating your words, trying to understand how their illusion shattered with a single truth. But what they don't realize is that you didn't fight back with force. You fought back with frequency. Your calm, your focus, your refusal to break. It sent a vibration through the unseen world that tore through their spiritual disguise. October is your revelation month. It is the moment where balance is restored. While others tremble under the weight of exposure, you will rise lighter, clearer, unstoppable. The veil is lifting, and with it, every hidden plot against your peace will collapse. Someone has been quietly observing you all this time. Not with malice, but with awe. They've seen the impossible resilience you've carried. And soon, that silent watcher will step forward with an offer, a message, or a connection that will change the course of your destiny. Stand ready. Keep your energy clean. What looks like a storm is actually the sound of heaven rearranging your future. Your whereabouts have been monitored, your trends examined, and what seemed to be weaknesses found. This wasn't just a random remark. Someone who saw your rising star and decided it needed to be put out before it became too bright was engaging in strategic surveillance. However, you must realize that this person's acts were neither spontaneous nor alone. Weeks, maybe months, had gone into planning this moment. Whispered campaigns against you had recruited others. Doubt seeds were sown in professional circles, a network of individuals who would supposedly see you humble yourself. This was intended to serve as a public demonstration of your self-assurance, credibility, and entitlement to the position you have achieved. You did nothing wrong for the assault to occur. Because you accomplished everything correctly, the assault occurred. Your ability to build patience, your wise investments, and your quiet assurance as you acquire new abilities and accumulate resources. Their status, ego, and feeling of control were all at risk because of all of that. For someone who does well in dimly lit situations, your light becoming brighter caused terror. Let's examine the specifics of this spying, however. Perhaps innocuous inquiries about your projects, schedule, and resources were made. Perhaps organizations were formed or committees were organized with the express purpose of keeping an eye on your operations. Perhaps you developed ties with individuals in your network to get information about your movements rather than out of true friendship. You were studied for patterns of success, not to learn from them or figure out how to break them. We looked for signs of composure fissures in your handling of pressure. It was mentioned that individuals that support you have strategies to sow mistrust in those ties. The assault was timed for maximum effect by cataloging when you're most confident and when you could be most susceptible. This was no act of petty animosity. This was deliberate psychological warfare intended to derail you at the very time when momentum was highest. The most pernicious aspect is how this surveillance was passed off as friendly interest, mentoring, or concern. Pretending to want to assist, they asked about your objectives. Actually, however, the goal was to amass ammo. They gave you unsolicited advice that was really meant to make you doubt your intuition. Stories of others who failed at comparable endeavors were told, not to warn you, but to make you question your own chances of success. There were chances to work with your growing energy rather than against it. It was feasible for someone who benefited from your rise to become your ally, your backer. However, antagonism was chosen over opportunity, and conflict was chosen over wisdom. If you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. When a mouth opened to deliver what was believed to be your deadly blow, your achievement was seen and felt lessened rather than inspired. An unexpected event occurred. Every statement intended to hurt you was repelled with superhuman accuracy, as divine protection came into play around you like an imperceptible barrier. It wasn't only defense you did. The necessary adjustment was inadvertently given in the exact tone that would destroy their facade at the precise moment that would reveal them to everyone in the room. Currently, there is total ignorance of what is developing around this circumstance, while that moment is repeated in the mind in an attempt to rewrite history and determine where the plan went wrong. The anticipated discussions aren't happening with the folks who saw your encounter. Observers are talking about your poise under duress, your inherent authority, and your ability to deal with resistance with such seamless accuracy that their assault seemed amateurish, rather than how you were put in your place. This is causing unanticipated rippling effects. Although there are group conversations, the storyline isn't working for them. They're making phone calls, but the tale they're telling is about their embarrassment, not yours. What was believed to be planning your public demise really produced a public display of your strength, defense, and unwavering base. Unbeknownst to you, this unsuccessful assault has really improved your standing in ways you could never have predicted. Previously uninterested onlookers are now listening to you with renewed respect. Former coworkers who may have trusted them are now doubting their judgment in every situation. Leaders watching the exchange are mentally noting your poise in the face of criticism and their lack of professionalism under duress. In the workplace, this means that options that were previously closed to you are suddenly becoming more accessible. Given how you manage hardship, decision-makers are more likely to undermine your advancement by making you seem unprepared or undeserving. Because people saw how competent you were at resolving conflicts in real time, the project that was harmed by doubting your ability is now receiving greater support. The dynamics have changed irrevocably if this occurred in social circles. Friends who may have been swayed by rumors of campaigns against you are now seeing the real you. People want to be around someone who has that type of natural authority. So, social invitations that you would have thought would decline are really rising. They've gone into their own social exile as a result of the attempts to isolate you. Even if this occurred in a family setting, family members who may have subscribed to stories about your decisions, choices, if you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. Empath are now seeing directly how strong and dignified you are. Now, family members who were recruited to put pressure on you to settle, conform, and lower your expectations are realizing that the recruitment was based on inaccurate information about your talents and character. You didn't plan or calculate your answer. The most effective weapon against fabricated opposition is authentic truth, which is what you simply responded with. You ruined their whole plan with effortless sincerity, even though every tactic had been planned, every subtle jab had been constructed, and every psychological pressure point had been analyzed. The stakes are rising beyond this one encounter. Yet you strike the target without aiming because you can't miss when you're in alignment with divine purpose. This person's fixation on what transpired is keeping them from seeing the wider picture of what is happening. You're gaining momentum that will make their first strike seem inconsequential while you're stuck reliving their failure. They're not involved in the acceleration of the same thing that was being prevented. Promote this video to reach more selected people on this trip if this message triggered your knowing. This is the point at which everything comes together. When the whole extent of what just transpired becomes apparent and all linkages become evident. You weren't picked at random to be humiliated by that individual. Because of something that was identified in you that could not be disregarded, minimized, or ignored, you were selected. When they looked at you, their mediocrity was challenged by your star quality, regardless of how hard they tried. They saw potential that became their own limits intolerable. They displayed confidence that revealed their own weaknesses. Devastation was selected rather than being motivated by your example or inquiring about how comparable energy may be generated. It was decided that you would be dragged down to their level if you couldn't rise to yours. Since you may not even be aware of this star quality, let's discuss what it looks like in real life. Conversations halt a little when you enter meetings because people automatically adapt their intensity to match yours. Even doubters find themselves leaning in, enthralled by your conviction as you talk about your vision. Even if you believe that the judgments you make are little or unimportant, they have a huge impact on everyone around you. This individual detected a quality in your energy that they were unable to produce or duplicate in themselves. Perhaps it's because you don't need continual approval to proceed with your ideas. Perhaps it's the way you can sit quietly while others are forced to talk nervously to fill every void. Perhaps it's your capacity to hold your ground without being defensive, to disagree without getting combative, and to uphold your ideals without becoming critical of those who make different decisions. Even if articulation is challenging, people sense the stabilizing influence of your presence. In chaotic circumstances, people instinctively turn to you for indications about how to react. People are drawn to your viewpoint during uncertain times, not because you declared yourself an authority, but rather because your energy signals access to knowledge that others lack. Even those who don't know you well expect you to be the voice of reason, the person who can view things from all angles and figure out how to proceed when there is dispute. This was what posed such a serious danger to them. They were concerned by your accomplishments, but they weren't envious of them. Although things were undoubtedly desired, it wasn't your chances that were cherished. In contrast, they felt helpless because of your innate authority, your easy influence, and your capacity to command respect without requesting it. It became clear that no matter how hard you worked to control circumstances, create credibility, or make people realize how important you were just occupying a space that they couldn't get to with just hard work. Since your light does not originate from outside approval, there was never any power to lower it. You don't base your confidence on what other people think. Human institutions do not give you power. You function from a place of spiritual harmony, divine connection, and genuine strength that is impervious to artificial assaults. In essence, humility was an effort to persuade the sun to express regret for shining. The effort to sow doubt was like attempting to get an ocean to doubt its depth. If you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. The attack's whole premise was based on a basic misunderstanding of the issue at hand. You're more than simply a celebrity. Stars don't dull themselves for those who want darkness, and you are the star in your own tale. What started out as a tactic to make you humble has evolved into heavenly affirmation of your purpose. What began as an assault on your self-esteem has now turned into evidence of your spiritual defense. What started out as a strategy to lessen your power has ended up increasing your authority more than was first thought conceivable. This is the point at which the full justice of spiritual law is revealed by its cyclical character. It was intended for you to receive what was provided, and precisely what was given was received, multiplied by the enigmatic processes of divine mathematics. They sent humiliation and got it back with interest. Doubt was expressed, and they are now doubting everything about their own judgment. After the attack, they are experiencing wounds that they are unable to repair on their own. However, the psychological suffering that is being endured is more than just shame. The recollection of that moment when the well-prepared assault failed is the first thing that comes to mind every morning when you wake up. That failure now hangs over every contact. It always makes me question whether the person who is looking at them saw the loss or heard about it from someone else. People are experiencing cognitive dissonance on steroids. Being the one who could outmaneuver others, see flaws, and take advantage of them, and strategically manipulate social dynamics was the foundation of the whole self-image. But you demolished that identity without even attempting to resist. There was no outmaneuver. Simply by standing by your convictions, their whole plan fell apart due to your genuineness. Everything that was previously believed to be true regarding power dynamics, social influence, and their own skills is now being questioned. If it was possible to be so incorrect about you, what else has been miscalculated? How can one trust intuition about anything else if the circumstance was so far off? What does it indicate about one's awareness of oneself and others if someone who was supposed to be readily humbled could so simply flip the script? Every aspect of life is being impacted by this uncertainty. Because judgment is unreliable, decisions that were formerly taken with certainty now seem overwhelming. Relationships that were previously assumed to be clear now seem enigmatic, as it has been realized that persons may have been misinterpreted all along. Once premeditated with precision, professional movements now appear dangerous since the formula for success has been shown to be fundamentally incorrect. The worst aspect is that there is a deep-seated understanding that you are correct, so proper hate of you cannot even arise. There is proof that what you stated was necessary. There is proof that their motivations were as clear-cut as you made them seem. We know that their facade was just as flimsy as you made it out to be. Making fun of you won't help them feel better in this situation. The reality is that you were the one who was righteous in this exchange, and you are left with that unpleasant fact. In the meanwhile, your light merely grew stronger with each effort to extinguish it. Your foundation strength was only made clear by each onslaught. Every attempt to divert you simply served to affirm that you are headed in the correct direction. Their resistance served as fuel for your acceleration, according to the cosmos. Their opposition is confirmation of your value. Their unsuccessful plan is proof that you are shielded by powers they are unable to understand. However, the change extends beyond your triumph and their failure. The person you were before that encounter has changed. You've learned something about yourself that alters the way you navigate the world. You have discovered that you are protected by God, that your genuine truth is stronger than anyone's well-planned lies, and that your inherent authority doesn't need approval from others. You're about to enter a period when everything picks up speed as this person sits in their damaged ego, rehearsing their failure and attempting to control interactions they can't control. You are now moving ahead with the energy that was used to halt you. The emphasis on your alleged shortcomings is drawing attention to your indisputable advantages. The network, which formerly tried to turn against you, is now paying more attention to your ascent. Compound interest is soon to be paid on your patient investments. Your long-suppressed vision is now prepared for public unveiling. The abilities you've acquired in solitude are soon to be presented on wider venues. The empire you're going to build may be supported by the foundation you established while plans to bring you down were being hatched. The lost potential is most noticeable at this point. It was possible to be a part of this growth. It was feasible for them to benefit from your accomplishment rather than become victims of their own jealousy. Instead of making apologies for public humiliation, the truth may have been to write checks from gains that were shared. However, opportunity was passed up in favor of opposition. And now the result is to watch from the sidelines as you create without them. The fact that the exact network that tried to turn against you is suddenly working in your favor is very intriguing. Colleagues who observed the unsuccessful assault are now more interested in partnering with you since your professionalism under pressure was shown. Mentors who may have been impartial are now actively supporting you, as it was seen that you are capable of handling disagreement amicably. Because they saw your natural authority in action, competitors who were previously observing you from the sidelines are now respectfully approaching you. Now that decision-makers have seen proof of your abilities in real time, the possibilities that were before stopped by doubting your preparedness are speeding up. Your name is now at the top of the list for that leadership post you had supposed to be disqualified for. That project destroyed by attacking your reputation now gets more money since investors experienced your calm and expertise firsthand. You would be reaping the benefits of this momentum if you had chosen alignment with your energy rather than resistance. The truth could have been to be your partner in these new endeavors rather than a warning about what occurs when divine purpose is assaulted. It could have been better to write suggestions jointly rather than frantically explaining to each other why inadequate action was being done. They could have been among the chances for collaboration that are now coming your way. It's possible that the wider network that sprang up around your accomplishment was also their network. The greater respect and influence you're earning might have elevated them by association. Rather, placement was selected as a barrier to your advancement. And now the outcome is to watch from the sidelines while you go on without them. The contracts are coming to life. Partnerships are beginning to take shape. The resources are coming in. Individuals that can spot genuine leadership are joining your vision. The cosmos is rewarding your perseverance with breakthroughs, your patience with plenty, and your genuine power with platforms that will increase your impact beyond your wildest expectations. Seeing how easily you've gotten over the disagreement while still being stuck in it hurts them much more. You've assimilated the event, gained knowledge from it, and channeled it into your ongoing development. Replaying and rewriting continue in the meantime in the hopes of repairing the harm to one's reputation and self-image. Their assault has been transformed into evidence of your power, while yours has been transformed into evidence of their weakness. What occurred to you requires knowledge of spiritual protection, which most people never acquire. A kind of heavenly covering naturally activates when you're living in real purpose, when your techniques are honest and your motives are pure, and when you are creating something that will benefit others as well as yourself. It is not essential to pray for it, to plead for it, or to acquire it by rituals. It comes naturally as a result of being in accordance with divine intent. This safeguard makes sure that assaults backfire proportionate to the bad intent, but it does not stop individuals from assaulting you. The more deliberate the sabotage, the worse the loss, and the more widely publicized the effort to make you seem bad, the more well-known their own shame becomes. The more effort put toward your demise, the more of it is diverted into your ascent. You weren't defending yourself throughout what happened. It was an imbalance being corrected by spiritual law. A person is not the sole target when someone attempts to hurt someone who is working for a divine cause. Universal order is being opposed. The universe reacts to attacks against its tools of positive change with proportionate force because it has a stake in keeping them safe. This explains why your spontaneous remark was so accurate. With the use of your voice, divine intelligence was able to convey precisely what was to be stated in precisely the right manner. You turned into a conduit for unquestionable insight, unquestionable genuineness, and unquestionable certainty. Spiritual protection functions in this way, not by protecting you from every conflict, but by making sure you have all you need to win when it does occur. Justification. Only those who felt the call should read the next message. The terrible reality was revealed to me when I managed to escape via the Salvia Dionorum gateway. One plucked pod amid many matrices is our reality. I saw the cosmic parasites of the Archon, who sneered and posed a menace, consuming our energy. No soul will ever be awakened by you. However, you are already aware of this fact, aren't you? Persistent feeling that you've been selected and that you're destined for greater. The Obsidian Inner Order is already assembling with the strongest of the awakened souls. The top ascension nexus for destiny-marked individuals. One truth unites Christians, light workers, remote watchers, and targeted persons. You were selected for this occasion. In the description below, click the link. Participate in our live broadcasts, panels, and group calls that are accessible to the whole Astral Atom Network. Our frequency is boosted by yours. Whether you are selected is not the issue. Will you take the call is the question. You're going to make a decision that the Archons dread. They should. It is now feasible to walk around the world with different energy because it is understood how this protection works. Since it is known that opposing divine purpose is counterproductive, you don't need to be paranoid about potential opponents. Spiritual law takes care of it on its own, so you don't need to plot against those who plot against you. Authentic power protects itself, so you don't need to worry about protecting your position. This does not imply being careless or unsophisticated. This entails developing strategic self-assurance. In interactions with other people, wisdom is still used, but this time it comes from a place of knowledge rather than fear. Being prepared for adversities is a component of proper stewardship of gifts, not a result of uncertainty about protection. Subsequent efforts to undermine your influence or hinder your advancement will suffer the same fate as this one, turning into testimonials to your character and proof of your heavenly shielding. Those who see these unsuccessful assaults will grow to appreciate your fortitude and trust your leadership skills even more. Your life will be impacted for years to come by the repercussions of what transpired between you and this individual. People who weren't even there are hearing about your poise in the face of criticism, your innate power, and how you handled resistance so deftly that it seemed easy. By doing this, you are establishing a reputation that will lead you into previously unexplored areas, unlock doors you haven't yet explored, and generate chances you haven't ever thought. Those making decisions who saw this exchange or learned about it indirectly are mentally noting your personality. Because you have a recall of how you behaved yourself under pressure, your name will be the first to come up when leadership roles become available. Crucial initiatives need someone trustworthy, or significant collaborations call for someone with shown judgment. However, the effects go beyond career progression. As more individuals realize that you are dealing with someone who is acting from genuine power rather than fake confidence, your personal connections are changing. Your wisdom is now being shown to family members who may have doubted your decisions. Your power is now being seen by friends who may have questioned your course. The aura of someone who is obviously aware of their value attracts even strangers who see how you conduct yourself. This is producing what spiritual teachers term magnetic attraction, the process by which resources, people, and opportunities start coming your way. Your energy is attracting them, not because they're being chased. You're not needy or desperate in your confidence. It's the silent confidence of someone who understands their worth and anticipates that others will too. Your legend is expanded each time someone attempts to denigrate you and is unsuccessful. Every unsuccessful assault serves as further evidence of your protected status. Everyone tells the same narrative about what occurs when someone who is living in divine destiny is opposed. Every effort to humble you that ends in your elevation. These tales are significant because they set expectations about your name. Individuals start to look to you for success, protection, and greatness. It becomes clear that supporting you is smart and opposing you is pointless. This is not conceit. This is the inevitable effect of repeatedly exhibiting operating under divine protection. Moments like this will build a reputation that will be passed down to your children, mints, and future protégés. The respect you're gaining, the doors you're opening, and the routes you're laying will all pay off. Overcoming this barrier is more than simply a personal triumph for you. It's generational, giving those who follow you an edge and motivating others battling comparable struggles. But let's discuss what this triumph really means in terms of your destiny as a whole. This was more than a chance meeting with a challenging individual. This was a test of your preparation for the next level of power and responsibility you're about to enter into. The universe needed to know that overcoming resistance with grace, intelligence, and unwavering faith in your purpose would be possible. Resistance always arises for those who dare to shine. Your opponent was dazzled by the colors you used to pass that exam. The ability to retain integrity under pressure was shown. It is possible to speak the truth without being unkind, to defend one's viewpoint without being defensive, and to come out of a disagreement stronger rather than bitter. The universe has noticed that these are the traits of great leadership. But just winning this war isn't the final triumph. It's because the victory was so clear-cut that it eliminated the need for further conflicts. Word travels about what happens to folks who attempt to belittle you. Your reputation for protection, heavenly support, and the ability to convert adversity into opportunity follows you in every circumstance. You are now a live example of the existence of heavenly protection, the invincibility of true power, and the fact that selected ones don't have to fight every battle since the cosmos does some of them for them. Your life turns into a testimonial that encourages other selected individuals to stand up for what they believe in, knowing that when they do, they will experience protection via power that is incomprehensible to humans. What began as someone's scheme to make you humble has now become the impetus behind your whole metamorphosis into the leader you were destined to be. The strike demonstrated your strength rather than weakening you. You were not slowed down by opposition. It made your timeline faster. You were not diminished by humiliation. It brought forth your inherent excellence. You're not building for yourself anymore. Your vision is broadening to encompass the influence you'll make, the lives you'll affect, the legacy you'll establish. The endeavor to halt it isn't only taking place. The universe is using supernatural favor to make up for the interference, which is why it's occurring larger, better, and quicker than anticipated. People that respect your authority and want to be a part of something important are joining your team. You're making connections that will lead to opportunities you were unaware of. Due to harmony with divine intent, your success is becoming inevitable. Furthermore, human resistance is not negotiable by divine will. It only clears the route and makes room for its selected vessels. The lovely irony is that they are stuck in the past because of their damaged ego, their compulsive reenactment of their failure, and their incapacity to get beyond what has transpired. You're caught in the moment of loss while you are developing the future, repeating humiliation while you are elevating, and you are fixated on the empire that you are gaining. Even if the individual with the injured ego will ultimately recover, they will never forget the lesson you gave them without making an effort. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom, you will remember that there are some individuals you don't attack, certain lights you don't attempt to dim, and some objectives you don't oppose. Sharing that knowledge with others will enable you to fulfill your destiny, even in the face of loss, guaranteeing that your reputation for divine protection expands far beyond any circle impact that may have resulted from the initial assault. We started this story with you wondering if someone's ego was bruised, worried about whether you went too far, and worried about their feelings, but now you understand the whole picture. That injured ego isn't your job to mend. They must bear the consequences. You don't have to take care of their unresolved fixation. They must get out of this jail. If you choose knowledge above pride, then what happened wasn't your cruelty. Your voice served as the delivery method for the universe's correction. Your delivery wasn't an assault. It was just what people needed to hear. It wasn't an accident, whether or not there was preparedness to accept it. It was heavenly justice assuring that those who would destroy divine purpose get instruction about the penalties of rejecting spiritual law. You're not the one who wonders whether you are worthy of the space you inhabit. You no longer question if your accomplishments or confidence are too apparent. You no longer rely on the hope that everything will turn out okay. Operation arises from the understanding that exercise is necessary due to alignment with the factors that make success inevitable. Because your soil has been blessed by divine purpose, the seeds that tried to take root in your mind, doubt about your worthiness, doubts about your talents, and uncertainty about your path, never did. Rather, the same seeds of devastation found their way into their own mental garden, where they grew into a crop of regret that will eat away at peace until someone decides to choose a different route. It was an effort to extinguish your light, but today it illuminates the way for others to follow. After being stifled, your voice is now expressing truth that changes people's lives. What was once an effort to lessen your presence is now a force for transformation that permeates every area you go into. Your best testimony has been their unsuccessful assault. The evidence of your heavenly protection is their shattered ego. Now is your moment. It's your season. Now is the time to truly embody everything that you were created to be. Understanding that the universe planned your triumph, that you are protected by God, and that every obstacle you face only makes you stronger, more focused, and more sure of your mission. You'll be developing your empire while they languish with their injured ego. While reliving failure occurs, you'll be shaping your fate. When alignment is selected over opposition, you'll be showing what doing right looks like while you're questioning what went wrong. Divine purpose above human cunning. Authenticity over manipulation. Your total metamorphosis into the unstoppable force you were always destined to be marks the conclusion of the tale that started with their scheme to degrade you. Their damaged ego serves as the cornerstone of your unwavering self-assurance. Their lost turns becomes the first triumph in your unavoidable victory over every objective, every vision, and every fate that bears your name. The selected ascend in this manner. This is how protection from God works. Spiritual law protects individuals who are living in purpose against those who would undermine it in this way. You don't just withstand assaults. You turn them into fuel to propel you forward. Evidence of your significance. Verification that you are just where you should be, doing precisely what you're called to accomplish. Become the person you were destined to be.